Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Zero to Infinity here. I'm actually going to be doing a recast between Team Survival or Death versus Team Feed or Mid. Sorry about the late upload. I had to actually re-upload this video because we forgot to record the first time. So I'm actually just re-recording this so we can upload it for our crowd control group to watch. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm going to try to go through play-by-play on this. It's my first time casting, so if there's any issues you guys think that I could work on, let me know. I'm actually going to be taking this cast from a noobish point of view. Just going over a lot of things that I see a lot of newer players do that they could really learn more from matches, so that way they can get a little bit better on their Dota game. There will be moments when I'll actually go through and pause this a couple times, just so that way you guys can see how why I'm describing what I'm talking about, and so on and so forth. So right now we're going to have the teams go through and start essentially just going through and drafting their teams here. We're going to start seeing what each team's going to be banning or selecting. So as of right now, we're going to keep our eyes out for certain strategies. What you're going to be watching out for is different hero synergies. A lot of people take Captain's Draft for the first time as almost like an all-pick mode, where everybody's like, oh, I want to play this character, I want to play this character, and the captain ends up picking the characters that those people want to play, when really it's much more crucial than that. You want to make sure your team has a very good strategy that works very well for each other, so that way you get the maximum game impact when you're playing. So we're going to notice that Survival or Death here's first ban is Undying. And I kind of want to go over why Undying has been banned quite a bit in the newer patch of Dota 6.84. Undying actually got a significant buff to his tombstone, and its cooldown is ridiculous. So whenever you get into big fights and team fights like that, Undying has the ability to pretty much screw your team over just by throwing a tombstone right at the beginning, just right when big initiations are happening. When you start getting in team fights, you don't focus on that tombstone, it's going to start generating more and more zombies and just kill your team off. The other ban I'm seeing here from Feeder Mid is that they banned Dragonite. Now Dragonite is, by himself, I think in my opinion, it's a pretty shitty hero until he gets Dragon Form. And you'll see a lot of people play Dragonite as a mid, just so that we can get that fast level 6, start using his ult to start pushing towers. The next ban that we're going to see from Survival or Death is Leshrac. Leshrac is also another great tower pusher. He has a spell that essentially allows him to do physical damage to towers. What he'll do is actually go through and clear a creep wave. He can immediately start just focusing all the physical attacks directly on the tower to get towers down as quickly as possible. He also has a fairly awesome ultimate, in my opinion, when he gets into a team fights. If he gets in there for the Ghost Scepter and the other team is nothing but physical damage, he's essentially able to use his ultimate over and over again just to take down the enemy carries, and hopefully even getting his stun in there. His stun's a little bit more trickier to land, but as a general support, I really like Leshrac, so I could see why Survival or Death might have banned him here. Right now we're going to want to see what the next ban is going to be from Feeder Mid. Now keep in mind, these players have never played with each other, so they're not sure which characters to ban because they don't know which character the other teams are particularly good with. So they're going to go off, I'm assuming, probably banning characters that they personally don't feel like they are the strongest at and playing against them. So based on the strategy here, we're going to see a Slark. Slark's a pretty popular ban, only in the sense that he's just so freaking annoying with his ultimate. His ultimate essentially allows him to have almost a free Heart of Tarrasque, increased movement speed, and makes him an extremely powerful ganker. And what's really nice about that is that if you're playing against a team that has a has a carry that basically needs a lot of farm to get online, like Medusa or maybe Anti-Mage, it's kind of nice to have a Slark jump on somebody, especially those type of characters, to go in for a gank and just shut them down over and over and over again, so that way you guys can get ahead of the game in terms of levels. So what we're waiting for here right now is just seeing what Survival or Death strategy is going to be, and it's going to tell us a lot based on the first hero that they pick. And generally in Captain's mode, guys, when you're watching the other team go through and actually pick a hero, you're going to want to keep your eye out on what strategies maybe they're playing out here. So we see a Vengeful Spirit pick. I'm seeing Vengeful Spirit picked up a lot more lately. She's a very, very versatile support, in my opinion, that can translate into, can't even find a word. She could switch to a semi-carry later on in the game, which is kind of nice. She has a great stun and then allows her to set up her W, and her W actually reduces her armor. And you'll see a lot of players who play a Vengeful Spirit also get a Medallion of Courage, so that way they can get the further reduction in armor, so it actually does bonus damage. And we're going to see Feeder mid pick Lion. Lion, in my opinion, is also another great support. He has a very, very reliable stun. A lot of players, I've noticed that when they play Lion, they usually use a stun and actually click on the ground in front of the enemy to try to knock them out. I think a better option would be to actually go through and just click on the hero themselves if you're going for a reliable stun. If you click on a hero with a Lion with your Q, you're almost guaranteed to hit them every single time. The other thing too that Lion has is his free sheep stick, essentially, with his Hex. It has a 0-point cast point. So something I've learned from a lot of much better players than me, since I'm relatively low in my MMR, is that it's actually not a bad idea to jump into a battle with your W first, because it has an instant cast point, it has a farther cast range as well, and then follow it back up with the stun, so that way it gives your carry plenty of time to just secure as much gold as quickly as possible and take them out. Another thing too is that I see a lot of Lion players that support generally finish off chasing enemies with the Finger of Death. But if you're going in for a gank, guys, I think it's best that you start with Finger of Death first, so that way you knock down any hero down as quickly as possible, and it lets your carry do the last hit so they can get the reliable farm and levels up as quickly as possible. So now we see a Centaur War Runner picked here. Centaur War Runner, guys, in 6.84 get a ridiculous Aghanim Scepter's buff. Normally Centaur's ultimate basically powers up his entire team to let them go through and stampede and hit everybody and does some damage. But the nice thing with his Ag Scepter upgrade, you guys can see here, it's going to give his entire team a 60% damage reduction. That is huge when it comes to team fights. And on top of that, with that huge damage reduction, it basically makes him a really, really great initiator. So I'm going to do something real fast too, guys. I'm actually going to make this video full screen because I think it's giving me weird borders. So give me 1 sec. Sorry about that. Probably should have did this before we started recording. So give me 1 second here. Let's see how this looks. Full screen? No? Maybe I'm going crazy. Okay, let's go full screen. Apply resolution. Alright. Doesn't look like that's fixing it that much more. It actually looks kind of crappier. We're going to go back to borderless window. Sorry, guys. Okay, so we're going to go back to the match here. We're going to see what their next span is from the other team. So we're seeing Lina being picked right here. Lina, guys, what's really nice about Lina as a support character is she can transfer into a fairly reliable carry because of her passive that allows her to start bursting out insane attack speed. I also really like the idea that they have a Vengeful Spirit with Lina. What that's going to allow them to do is Vengeful Spirit can actually go through and do a stun, which then sets Lina up for her extra stun as well. Light Strike Array has a half-second delay when you cast it, so a lot of times if you're not timing it correctly, your stun will actually miss the enemy hero. So having another support to set up that stun for you allows you to double stun the hero, makes the gank much more reliable. So based on what I'm seeing so far, it looks like Lion is probably going to be going into the safe lane with their carry for feeder mid, and we're most likely going to see a Centaur War Runner playing off lane. He's extremely tanky, and he's basically able to hold off the other two teams' heroes if they're doing a 2-lane setup, 2-1-2 standard lane setup. So let's talk about some of the bans here. So we're seeing a Faceless Void ban from the other team. I don't think Faceless Void would have been the ideal carry for this team here, just because they're so stun heavy. I would actually expect more of a carry that's able to do a lot of burst damage, or maybe I'm wrong. I could be completely wrong. I'm not super experienced to kind of find which team's Void works best in. Let's see. So we're seeing a Queen of Pain being banned from Survival or Death, and I think the reason they banned her is because we already see that Lion has significant burst damage. So if we have a Lion go in there, burst, Queen of Pain's able to go in there and burst all her spells, instantly gank somebody really, really quickly as well. So that's really nice. We're seeing also a Skywrath Mage being banned from Survival or Death. Skywrath Mage is in my opinion, I think he's a very, very strong mid hero, but I think lately the thing that makes him extremely strong too is the fact that he has a fairly reliable slow and it's extremely long cast range. I'm not sure if this would have been something that Survival Death would have been afraid of them being counterpicked, but rather more along the lines of them afraid of the silence that Skywrath Mage can send. We're seeing Feeder Mid actually banning a Razor. Razor is an excellent counter to any melee type heroes, so I'm assuming they probably banned Razor to make sure their Central War Runner plays fairly safe. Now this is very interesting here. We're seeing actually Feeder Mid pick an IO as their third pick, and this is very strategic here because ideally if you see an IO picked, most likely the other team is going to end up picking a Tiny. So I'm assuming they probably picked IO as their third pick because what happens is it allows you to skip the ban phase in between and it prevents the enemy team from banning your Tiny, therefore allowing you to pick it. So I'm willing to bet that Feeder Mid actually picks Tiny next to really complement IO. Either that or another really, really reliable melee hero, perhaps maybe like a Chaos Knight or even an Ursa. Ursa, I feel, is super broken in this new patch right now. So we're kind of interested to see what's going on here with Survivor or Death. It looks like they pick a Tidehunter. Tidehunter is an amazing initiator with their ultimate. Something that we're seeing here from Survival or Death is that they got a team with fairly stun heavy is what I like to say. Tidehunter most likely is probably going to go in there on a lot of team fights. Start out as Ravage. Lina will then immediately pop her Light Strike Array to stun the enemy carry, while Vengeful Spirit will probably shoot the Wave of Terror in there, so that way all enemies caught within Tidehunter's ult is going to have the immediate armor reduction. Armor reduction plays a big role in a lot of games. A lot of people don't realize this because once your armor reaches negative armor, it actually starts doing bonus damage. There's the Tiny pick that we were hopefully predicting earlier. Again, Tiny is extremely slow at beginning game and has a very slow attack speed until he starts leveling up his ultimate, which then allows him to move faster, but his attack speed suffers as a result. So the reason a lot of players pick IO with Tiny is the fact that he's able to utilize overcharge when he tethers to the hero that actually increases their attack speed to basically mitigate that slow attack speed there and actually do more burst damage. Tiny's an excellent pusher, so on top of that too, he does great amounts of burst damage by doing his avalanche and then tossing the enemy hero back into the same avalanche as well. So I'm not sure if they fixed it, but from what I learned before, you can actually catch a hero twice in an avalanche if you time it correctly. So I want to see what the next pick from Survival or Death. I'm guessing they're probably going to pick somebody else with another stun. It seems like their team's fairly stun reliant here. If you're a new Dota player, if you want to rise up in MMR extremely quickly, have your team all pick stuns. That works extremely well, especially in pub games. Just a lot of people aren't ready to deal with being chain stunned over and over and over again. So we're seeing an Enigma pick right here. Enigma, guys, a lot of people know him obviously for his big black hole. It's awesome in team fights. The other thing that makes Enigma really good is that his ability to jungle. So based on Survival or Death's lineup right now, what I'm predicting is probably going to be happening is we're going to have an Enigma in the jungle to get the golden farm with his Eidolons. Most likely Tidehunter the offlane just because he's so freaking tanky. And I'm thinking they're probably going to be doing an aggro tri-lane at the bottom with Vengeful Spirit and Lina. So we're seeing a Juggernaut being banned right here. Most likely because what Feeder Mid is seeing is that there's a huge amount of chain stuns going on. Again, if Enigma does a black hole on somebody, they could just basically send a Juggernaut in there to ult, do his Omni Slash, and it's going to hit everybody. So I think that was actually a really, really smart ban there. Basically, it's going to keep them from really picking a carry that really relies on the rest of his teammates. But again, I mean, if you have a team full of stuns, really any carry is going to benefit from that. I just see Juggernaut's Omni Slash really doing a lot of damage, especially when it gets to team fights. So it looks like right now Survival or Death has a fairly reliable team fight ability. So I kind of want to see what happens during the team fights here. My prediction is probably going to have you're going to see a Tidehunter go in an ult along with an Enigma ult, and then as the black holes come in there, we're going to see Lina do a Light Strike Array because it does an AoE stun followed by a Vengeful Spirit's Wave of Terror, and whoever the carry is just going to have them bursted down. So we're seeing a Troll Warlord being banned from Survival or Death here. Troll Warlord, guys, I think he actually got slightly nerfed in 6.84. Maybe he got significantly nerfed because a lot of his axes actually lost vision to really benefit from his sight. So we're seeing a Silencer pick from the opposite team. I think this is an excellent pick. I remember when we streamed this earlier this week, somebody said that Silencer was actually probably the best pick for to counter Survival or Death because they were so spell heavy reliant. But this is going to really rely on Silencer popping his ult in time, because the minute you see an Enigma or Tidehunter blink in, it's just quick reflexes at that point, because you have literally half a second to pop your ult before the team fight starts happening. So it's we're going to really need Silencer to really pay attention to his teammates. His teammates are going to have a lot of communication to make sure that the ult gets popped in time, so that way nothing gets missed. So right now we're going to be looking for a hard carry from Survival or Death. I could see a Chaos Knight in here. Chaos Knight would be another stunter going on that stance, or maybe even a Phantom Lancer. A Phantom Lancer with Enigma Black Hole would be amazing. Just the fact that if he gets the Diffusal Blade, he's going to completely destroy the mana here. But we see a Slaughter. Okay, so I might need some help here. I'm not sure how the Slaughter synergizes with that team, other than he has a close melee attack. Maybe a chase. I'm not sure. Or he could be using his ult for armor reduction. I mean, they don't have any invisible heroes, which I see Slaughter used for. But actually, I lied. I could see Slaughter being played very well with Vengeful Spirit. So we could see a Vengeful Spirit with a Slaughter bottom. A bottom lane here, so that way they can get the double armor reduction, and Slaughter can pretty much one-shot kill any squishy hero with his bash. So I could see that working really well right now. So let's start this match, and we're going to see what's happening here. So I'm going to leave this on directed camera here for a second. I just kind of want to discuss team strategies. Again, the lanes that I'm predicting for the for Dire side is we're most likely going to have Io go mid with Centaur, the support. I'm sorry, Io with a tiny mid, Centaur off lane with Silencer and Lion going safe lane, or perhaps Silencer going mid lane and then having Io and tiny top with Lion. We're going to see an early smoke already from Team SoD here. I think what they're going to be doing is trying to smoke the bottom rune, so that way feeder mid does not see them going to the bottom rune. Guys, one thing too is that with the newer patches, they have obviously included both runes. If you don't know that by now, that the rune spots both spawn a rune, then you might want to play some games against bots. It's really crucial to get those rune controls right at the beginning of the game, because it's going to give your team a huge advantage. Right at the 30-second mark, we're going to see either a bounty rune or one of the other runes here. So most likely what's going to happen is Team SoD is going to go for that bottom rune, smoke in there, so that way when the Dire side's heroes try to go for that bottom rune, they're going to initiate a big team fight and try to hopefully get first blood to give them a golden experience advantage. And then from there, like I said, I feel I'm going to see a Slaughter with Lina and Vengeful Spirit tri-lane bottom, Enigma jungle. Sorry, I lied. We're going to see Vengeful Spirit Slaughter bottom. I'm going to see Enigma jungle, most likely Lina playing mid, and then Tidehunter playing off lane. So it looks like somebody here had some issues connecting. That's fine. It gives me a chance to kind of talk about everything that's going on. Let's talk about some of the item purchases here. So what we're seeing, Tidehunter is he's going to get standard regen items, also an Observer ward. Now guys, with some of the new rune spots here, it's really important to get wards up early game. If you're Radiant side, it's a very good idea to get a ward here, mainly because I believe with the early rune in this area, let's see if I can circle it. I can't ping it, I don't know why. If you get a ward right there, it's actually going to give you vision around this area, the rune, and also if the enemy mid tries to come through this spawn lane to try to gank your carry. So this is a very, very good rune to have early game or right here, just to make sure your carry has some vision. I like this spot a lot more, mainly because it's also going to let you view this side here in case they have their enemy support getting that area to set up a gank or whatever. For the Radiant side, I think right at the beginning of the game, a great rune spot to put is actually right here on this cliff. Because it's going to give you a view of the river, the rune, as well as if any enemy heroes are running down this area. So that's something I would recommend getting that in as quickly as possible. So it looks like the game's back on here. Communication problems aren't going to be too much of an issue. So let's take a look at what everybody's got. Fairly standard items. Tiny's got the Enchanted Mango. Enchanted Mango is a new item that came out in 6.84. I actually really like it because it gives you 1 HP regeneration. So for Tiny, who's extremely tanky already, it gives him the ability to gen health faster. But in the case if he's run out of mana, he can actually immediately consume the mango to get instant 150 mana. And as you guys know, Tiny has a very tiny mana pool, so it's important to get that mana pool sustained, so that way he can reliably do his combos here. So it looks like something's going to show down. We're going to see Lion go up. I think Lion was actually trying to put a ward there. He's not able to put the ward. He gets spotted by the enemy Slaughter and White Shark. So they're going to run through. Linux is going to do Light Strike and Ray, and it looks like these guys are in trouble. We're stuck inside the Roshan pit, and we're already seeing the line being bursted down, getting the first blood for the Tidehunter. Oh no, it's actually got owned by Lena, and then Tiny gets taken out right there. Io trying to tether out, and he's going to tether Centaur. That did not go well for them. Got first blood as well as the second kill for Team SoD already. That's not going to be good for them at all. So let's take a look. Looks like they lost 29 gold, 316 extra gold for Team SoD, as well as additional 253 experience. So like I mentioned, guys, earlier, we're going to see that Vengeful Spirit combo, the double stuns there with the Lena to get like I said, a fairly reliable chain stun. So that way the other enemy heroes disable and gives you plenty of time to kill them off. So it looks like the lanes that we got going here is we see a Lena mid with an IO. I wonder where the silencer is going. Why? It looks like he's going top. He might be going top lane, or are they switching out? It looks like Lion's wandering back and forth. So I think these guys at that first fight really kind of messed up the momentum. So they're just trying to get their lanes back up again, just to make sure that they play safely. So we got a Magic here playing Centaur. Again, guys, Centaur is a great offlaner just because he's so tanky, and I think this is actually a pretty good matchup against Slaughter, because Slaughter bashes, Centaur bashes, and then Centaur's got his passive that actually returns damage as it goes through. Looks like Silencer is going mid against Lena. This is actually a very smart choice. If you're playing Silencer, a really good combo to do is actually throwing his last word, like a last word pop, and then immediately popping his Crystal Silence, so that way the enemy hero takes as much duration of the Crystal Silence to lose as much mana and health as possible. Looks like Tidehunter's going to be soloing off the lane here, and we're going to have I think this is called a defensive tri-lane for Team Feeder mid. It looks like Tiny is going to be their carry, with Io and Lion as being their supports. So what I think would be a good idea here is just having Io tethered constantly to Tiny, so that way he gets some additional movement speed so he can move back and forth. But it looks like what we're going to do right now is actually going to start doing an early pull right here. This is going to make it so that way when Tiny needs to go through and actually start farming, he can just basically do a Avalanche and a Boulder Toss to immediately farm that lane. Just hopefully get that early Ag Scepter so he can start doing some cleave damage. Lion's going to come back to harass here, just to hold him back here. We've got something going down on bottom lane. Oh, Centaur pulls off a kill against Vengeful Spirit. That was a great kill. Vengeful Spirit got caught off guard. I don't think they realized that Centaur was going to burst him down so quickly. So it looks like Vengeful Spirit actually was trying to pull this camp right here to get some momentum, and Centaur spotted the the creep momentum changing, so he tried to pull up the gank as quickly as possible, so that way he wouldn't lose too much on experience. Slaughter has got a Quelling Blade. Guys, I really like it when melee characters get a Quelling Blade right at the beginning of the game. I know in a lot of times it may not be the standard build, but Quelling Blade, as many people have pointed out to me before, pays for itself very quickly with the extra damage that does to creeps, so that way it builds your creep score early. Very helpful also when you just need to escape and cut through trees. If you are playing against an enemy Nature's Prophet, I would highly recommend that you have at least one person carry a hatchet, a Quelling Blade, so that way it can chop through any trees in case he's trying to trap your carry in there to secure a kill. Keeps yourself fairly protected. So it looks like we already have Lion and Io here actually harassing the Tidehunter out of lane. Outside of denying, when you guys are playing against enemy heroes, a lot of people like to actually go through and do denies. Another really helpful way of denying people. Oh, and there's the Wave of Terror. We're going to get an armor reduction. Centaur's going to run through the back. That's great escape. Gets away so that he doesn't take any damage. But like I was saying earlier, if you guys are going through and actually denying the enemy farm, a lot of people try to deny the enemy heroes. I think actually what's even a little bit, looks like we're going to kill here. Sorry guys, going back and forth. There's a lot of things going on. Looks like he's going to get away. Yep, he's going to get away. If I think if Vengeful Spirit had had enough mana to do her magic missile there, Centaur probably would have died. Barely escapes with his life, but he's got his Tranquil Boots built, so he's going to give him some life regeneration. But like I was mentioning, guys, if you are playing against an enemy hero and you're planning on denying as much farm as possible, you're actually going to get a lot more effective use if you have your support go through and hit the enemy hero and harass them completely out of lane. Because if you go through and deny creeps, the enemy hero will still actually get experience, albeit a little bit less experience, but getting them completely out of range gets them out of the range of soaking up additional experience, and they just can't even do anything. So that's actually going to work out even better for you. But again, I mean, if they're within range, deny when you can. But if you can even really help it, go through and completely harass the enemy hero out of lane if you can. That's very, very helpful. We're going to see Magic going against Slaughter here with the Centaur. Actually, one thing I forgot to mention, with Slaughter, he will most likely use his sprint to run away, but when he does use sprint, he actually ends up taking additional damage, which Magic's actually going to be able to utilize by using Double Edge to hit him a little bit harder, and there's a little bit of range. It looks like Vengeful Spirit's going to get behind him. We got Chains, we got Stun, we got Double Stun, and we got a Wave of Terror. He's going to reduce his armor down to 3. He's going to stun to try to get away, and he's going to make the kill and take out the Vengeful Spirit before he dies. That was a great smart play there by the Centaur. A lot of guys, when they start getting gates, they panic, and what they'll end up doing is they'll go through and start running away. Guys, if you know you're going to die, regardless, it's very important to try to make the most use out of your life as possible. That's exactly what Centaur did there by making sure before he dies, he at least takes down one of the enemy's heroes with him to make sure that loss of gold wasn't as painful per se. So we see immediate TP back down, and let's take a look at what we have in terms of XP charts. So it looks like SoD is leading the experience charts by 3,000 and gold by 2,000. It's most likely because they have this Enigma going through and farming very well by himself. He's already got an early headdress, and most likely he's going to convert that to a mechanism to help his team push a little bit better. It looks like Lina here has already got her Laguna Blade, which means that if the Silencer's not careful and doesn't pop that last word on her, she can very well go through and chase the Silencer down and kill him if he's not careful. So right there, look, he's popping his Q. Again, I really felt like last word should have been Dispel the Throw instead of his Q, because Q, if he throws a Q down on Lina, all it's going to do is just going to prevent her from... It's not going to prevent her from casting spells. She's still going to be able to cast it. It's going to take down. If he casted the last word on her, she would not have been able to do the Laguna Blade with the Dragon Slave. And basically to render her combo a little bit less effective and to follow up with Q. It looks like Tidehunter's going to get a kill against that line there. He wasn't playing too safe. I think he was actually trying to pull another group of camps right here and did not have a ward in this area to protect himself. This ward right here, I think, is just keeping his top lane protected so that way no one comes here. Again, if you're going to put a ward in this area, it's probably better to put it in that spot so that way you get better vision across this entire area, not just there. So we'll see what's going on. But again, wards are extremely important. I really think that people can do much better warding in a lot of pub games I play, but then again, I'm playing really low MMR, but I can't emphasize how important it is to do wards. So you can see right there, that was a really good, like I said, smart idea to actually pop the last word and then follow up with your Q. It's going to keep your enemy hero silenced, so that way they take more additional damage of your Krista silent, and they also lose more mana, so they can't do as much damage as well. Looks like we're going to do a hard push right here. Those Eidolons are just going to do so much damage, 42 damage each. If you have 6 Eidolons hitting that, you're basically getting, let's do the math real fast. You're looking at about 240 damage every time the 6 groups attacks, and it's going to take that tower down pretty quickly. So that's going to be a nice boost of income for Team SoD. Things are not looking too good for Team Feeder mid right now. It's 10-2. So let's see what's going on. So we got Lion. He's going to go through. I think he could have actually casted the Q and then stun and get away, but it probably wouldn't have been worth it considering that Lina is, at this point, I wouldn't say she's fairly tanky, but she's got quite a bit of spells up against her, and I think Lion would end up getting hit. We got a big hit going down right here. Looks like Sara pops down, and Silencer's going to be within range. Still some intelligence, which is awesome. Just to let you guys know, Silencer is actually one of my favorite heroes. One thing I really like about Silencer is his ability to steal 2 intelligence permanently from any hero within the 900 range anytime somebody dies. So he doesn't even need to get a kill, which is why I really like Silencer as a semi-carry, semi-support, just because in a lot of cases you either get the kill or you don't. If you don't get the kill, you don't really benefit as much out of it other than experience and gold. But Silencer, he's going to get benefit from some of the gold and experience, and also more damage with his intelligence still. So it looks like Io is going to tether Silencer here. I think they're actually going for a kill. They don't have any wards other than this one other than these 2 on the hill. So don't know what they were spotting there to try to get the kill. I'm assuming they probably assumed that the Enigma was jungling, so they want to get the kill and try to shut him down. But things are not looking. It doesn't look like a very safe attack right now. We got the ultimate pop from Silencer, and they're going to run away. Let's see here. We're going to have retaliation pretty quickly here. Centaur pops his ult to try to get his team out. So yeah, Silencer's ult is very, very tricky. You got to make sure you pop that silence in at a very key moment. If you pop it too early, the enemy team is just going to spot it. They're going to run away, wait for your silence to wear off, and then come back and reinitiate. And at level 1, the global silence only lasts for 4 seconds, which isn't extremely helpful if you pop it too early. So that team fight did not go too well for them with one of Feeder Mid's teams going down. Looks like it was Lion. Lion's not doing so hot. It's level 3, 9 minutes in. One of the key things, guys, if you are a support and you're that fairly low level, I would say stop roaming so much and stick more of your safe lane carry, so that way you can soak up some experience. At least get to level 6, so that way you can help reliably gank a little bit better. Lion is a great team ganker because his Finger of Death just does so much damage and allows your carry to get some farm in there. Now look at Isle chasing after Tidehunter. I don't think this is a very smart chase because Isle can't really do a team fight too great by himself, so it's better that he runs away. He's going to use those spirits to kind of harass and bring them back in, and then bring them back out again to try to hit any heroes that are out there. One thing that's really nice, guys, that people don't utilize often enough is that when you pop your spirits of IO, it's very important to keep them spread out if you're chasing, and close to you if you're planning on farming creeps, just because you can actually stand right next to the creeps and it will not pop the spirits, but it'll actually just hit them over and over. So looks like we're getting a gank being set up from team SoD right now. We're going to see a Euro Scepter with a stun, Dragon Slave, and then a magic missile to kill off the IO. This is a really, really great combo. Lena already getting her Yule Scepter up. Now, the reason why you'll end up seeing Yule Scepter being built by Lena is the Yule Scepter gives a semi-stun, but it sets her up so that way she can actually land her Light Strike Array and then follow it up with her combo, and just basically right-click them to death just because of her attack speed. So that was a very, very smart build from for Lena here, and it looks like we got the mid tier 1 going down already for Feeder Mid. I think Feeder Mid is actually really going to have to get some pressure going on, take down these towers. Most of these towers are practically full health. It's not doing a whole lot of damage, and it's going to actually really hurt them here if they don't get actually more towers down, because this is actually giving Team SLD some better map control. So we got Feeder Mid actually all TPing mid, save for the Tiny, who's probably still trying to get his farm up, and they're going to try to defend this mid tower here. Things are looking good. Looks like they're going to go through and try to take this Tiny down. Everybody's moving up just because they see him farming by himself, so he's not protected. So let's see what happens here. Everybody's going to wander through. Enigma's going to grab the 12-minute rune here. And he's already got his mech built up with an invisibility rune. That is an amazing rune for Enigma, because it's basically the same thing as a smoke, but it won't pop when he's in front of enemies. And on top of that, it's going to allow him to actually land a very good black hole, which looks like this is going to be the case. We got this game going on right here. Everybody's getting lined up, and here comes Enigma. We're going to see a big black hole coming out here very quickly here. Idle coming through. 3 heroes in the middle. We're going to see Enigma pop a black hole. I see it. Nope. The silence comes up. 4 seconds silence, but they still haven't seen Enigma yet. He's still invisible. They have no idea that he's there. And there's the Ravage, Team Ravage, and then we see the black hole coming out here, maybe? Nope, no black hole. Guy looks like he actually did not need it. His team actually was cleaned up pretty quickly. So, not too bad of a smart choice. I actually think it would have been a good idea for him to black hole to catch that IO out, but I mean, that's really up for debate. I personally think that if you are able to catch a hero and kill them, more oftentimes than not, I feel like using your black hole to secure that kill is not a bad idea. But Ravage was set up beautifully by SDH over here, and I think Enigma could have chained the black hole stun in there if he needed to, but they were able to finish off the enemy heroes fairly quickly with the Wave of Terror from Vengeful Spirit. Let's take a look and see what we have for item builds with the tier 2 tower going down. Oh, we'll talk about it real fast. Looks like Idle's trying to pop away. We see the Vengeful Spirit with the swap popping in. Another Yule Scepter by Lena there for the line with the Light Strike Array, and he just gets bursted down. This line is being shut down over and over and over again. I don't think he's going to have much of a chance to catch up. Let's see what he's at. Lion's still level 4 at 13 minutes in. That's really going to handicap Feeder Mid here. They really need Lion's Finger of Death to do some burst damage, take some of these guys down. Meanwhile, it looks like Slaughter has been farming bot lane the entire time unharassed. So he's got Midas built up, as well as a Blink Dagger, which is going to allow him to initiate really well. One thing I want to talk about here, guys, like I said earlier, is Vengeful Spirits actually got a Medallion of Courage built. This synergizes very well for Wave of Terror. It's going to give them a lot of armor reduction. Really helpful against enemies like Centaur, who has a lot of armor. You can always see that he's negative 11 armor right there. At a negative 11 armor, if anybody hits Centaur right now, he's actually just going to take bonus damage. So that's really, that's going to hurt him a lot. And we already have the Slaughter ult over him. So he has no choice but to run back to base to heal, and he's just going to need to make sure that amplified damage wears off before he re-engages. Otherwise, he's going to be bursted down extremely quickly. And it looks like we're getting this team set up for to get a Roche at 14 minutes in. So I'm guessing probably they're going to have Slaughter take this Aegis, if I were to guess. So we're going to see the Slaughter seeing Roshan basically being, like I said, bursted down just because they have so much armor reduction going on. But Medallion of Courage, Wave of Terror, we have Slaughter's ult, basically reducing Roshan's armor down to -10. He's going to take additional damage. You can see how quickly his health is going down. So yeah, Slaughter taking the Aegis. And we're going to go off here. Now, one thing I want to talk about here, you'll notice that he uses Midas as quickly as possible. If you guys do farm a Midas, make sure you use it every time it's on cooldown. If you don't, it's really not using that item at its optimal level. It's an extremely expensive item not to be used every time it's on cooldown. Usually, you want to make sure you get a medium count, just so that way you can also benefit from the additional experience. But if you can't help it, you're in lane, just use it on a creep. Whatever you do, just don't let it be active and not being used. It's just not optimized that way, and it screws the whole point of getting an early Midas. So that's something I really want to talk about. One thing I really like here from the team feeder mid is that these are some great wards that we have going on here. A lot of times when you guys are losing towers, it's important to still keep wards up, even aggressive wards if you need to, so that way if you guys actually want to go through and gank an enemy, because during the times that your tower's down, most likely the enemy's going to go through and farm their jungle, like the Slaughter is. And if you catch him alone, it might not be a bad idea to go your entire team's smoke to go through and gank him. So right now we're actually going to see Enigma going through and farming. It looks like, I'm not sure if the stack ever got farmed by that Tiny, but it looks like these guys just took whatever farm was there, and they're going to go through and push his top lane. We already got two two towers going down for feeder mid with one tower left. It looks like we're going to do a 4-man push at the top. Sardar is probably going to join them. He's going to grab this bounty room before he joins his team up top. And these guys are going to go for Haste Rune. You know, they're running around. I don't know what they're expecting to happen. I'm thinking they were expecting a team fight to happen there, but nothing went on. But at this point, with what's going on in the game, with how far they are behind, I don't think it's really a great idea to split up. I think it's better to group at this point, because that's where you're going to be seeing Team SoD do. And so Centaur's going to go in here and try to take down Tidehunter. Tidehunter's going to go through and do the Ravage with the big black hole right there. He's going to catch 2 heals. X5's going to be focused down, and then we got a team wipe going on. That was very, very hard to call. I would say for the Silencer, it was just a badly timed ult, if I were to say, just because it's silenced. You want to initiate at crucial moments, and I think they were expecting the team to be there, but just team didn't go in on time. So the silence was popped. SoD caught it. It went through and backed off immediately, waited for the silence to wear off, which really made feeder mid fall behind. Let's take a look and see what level that Silencer is. So Silencer is still level 7, which means his ultimate right now is still only 4 seconds, which is not very helpful in a team fight, especially when these guys are farmed right now. They're basically going to back off and stay off until the silence wears off before they go back and reinitiate. So let's take a look here. We got our team fight going on. Looks like Team Feeder Mid is actually trying to fight off Team SoD from taking these barracks. This is going to be very hard. Everybody's being chased. They're going to back off a little bit. And looks like Team SoD is just going to keep on harassing, so that way there's no creeps to defend this tower here. Lion's trying to make something happen here. I think he needs to stay back a little bit, so that way he can get stunned in the minute he sees Slaughter. And like that, if you're a support that like Lion and you need a reliable stun, it's a good idea to stay back. Centaur's going to take down the Slaughter, but Slaughter has Aegis. He's going to come right back up, and they're going to go through and repush his tower. I think we're at this point right now, they're not even trying to push the tower. They're just going to keep Team Feeder Mid away, so that way the creeps can actually take this tower down, and then use Enigma's Eidolon to go take that tower down as quickly as possible. We got Centaur going in. He's really trying to take that Tidehunter down, but unfortunately his team is not there. He's going in solo by himself, and he's going to get bursted down as well. And Tiny trying to get in there to get some damage out, but he's also going to get attacked. IO links onto him to give him some additional speed, but unfortunately he also gets focused down. Blurry Face here, playing as Lion. He's also going to try to run away. He's still level 4, 18 minutes in. This Lion just got completely crippled during this match. And unfortunately, I think a lot of their heroes could have went down. But we do see Enigma and Tidehunter go down, and Tiny's going to try to make something happen. But unfortunately, he's going to get focused down by Vengeful Spirit because she used Medallion of Courage along with Wave of Terror, which is going to really hurt that Tiny because he's going to suffer from negative armor, again dealing a lot of bonus damage. In the meantime, it looks like this tower went down just halfway. They really need to get some towers going down so that way they can get some income increase for their team, but at this point there's not a whole lot of options Feeder Mid really has in terms of defense. It looks like Team SoD is actually placing some aggressive wards right here to give them some great vision, as well as a ward directly into their base. So this is actually a really useful ward in my opinion, because I think what this ward's actually going to do here is it's going to allow them to predict when an initiation might be coming in from Feeder Mid towards Team SoD. So right here we see Centaur being caught off guard by himself. The rest of his team behind him, they're running away. I think Centaur might have called out that attack. He doesn't think it was a good idea to initiate on them. If they actually go in on this, will be a 4 versus 3. Let's see. It looks like Tidehunter's ult's actually back up, so it might not be a smart engagement. We're going to see Yule Scepter followed by Light Strike Array, stuns the Silencer, Wolfen Ultimate from Ravage. That was a really great setup there to get that Silencer out, so that way he's not able to do a global stun. And once again, we see that line going down again. We see Guardian Greaves coming out from Enigma. This is an absolutely awesome beast of a support item, if you guys can get it. But Guardian Greaves, one thing I really like about it, aside from the instant, basically Arcane Boots and mechanism, it also gives a passive buff where if anybody of your team goes down below 20% health, they will get an immediate boost of 15 armor as well as additional health regeneration. So that's really great for team fights here. Looks like we're going to get another team fight going on. They're just going to harass the hell out of them. We got a big black hole, 3 heroes being caught right here. We're going to see with the Wave of Terror going down, Light Strike Array, and everybody's just being focused down, bursting immediately just because they have so little armor. Again, Centaur's going to be a -5 armor right here. He's going to try to make something happen, but he's going to try to take down Vengeful Spirit. Unfortunately, he's going to focus down, chain stun. Nothing happens. Vengeful Spirit gets away barely. Very well game played. Feeder Mid's going to call it GG here. 21 minutes in, 33-5. That was a very rough match for Team Feeder Mid. Again, I don't think there's much that they can really do. I really felt that SoD just had a great lineup for team fights, and it just made it super hard for Team Feeder Mid to go through and really do anything. Just SoD's team fight presence was amazing. So I kind of want to talk about some of the items that were being built here by both teams. Music's cut off just because I paused it. But we're seeing Vengeful Spirit actually convert her Medallion of Courage to a Solar Crest. This is actually one of the newer items that was put out in 6.84. And again, what it's actually going to do here is synergizes great with Vengeful Spirit is the fact that it's actually going to make the enemy lose 10 armor plus her Wave of Terror, and if Slaughter goes in, he's going to ult them, and the enemy hero is just going to take so much negative armor that it's basically going to take a few right clicks and it will die immediately. So that's a really great build from Vengeful Spirit. I really like that. The other thing too that I'm seeing, I really like talking about this, is the Guardian Greaves, guys. Guardian Greaves, if you play as a support, this is the ultimate item that you want to aim for if you're a support that ends up building mech anyways, just because Guardian Greaves gives you so much team fight presence, makes your team extremely tanky. If you can get an axe that builds a Crimson Guard here, it's only going to make your team just absolutely monstrous in team fights. So that's one of the newer items. If you guys can get your hands on it, it is extremely expensive, but it's not a bad idea to save it for if the entire game all you've been building is just wards and maybe getting smokes or whatever. So I want to talk about this game here. It looks like Line he got shut down so hard. You can see 0 and 10. That's extremely handicapping to Feeder Mid, just because Line was never able to even get his ult off. And I think there's a couple of team fights where if Line had his ult, he would have been able to basically finish off some of the enemy heroes on SoD from running away and basically getting their gold income higher. Again, first match for Team SoD versus Feeder Mid. I'm going to get the next match uploaded as soon as possible. I might have a co-caster with me, but if you guys have any questions, let us know. Give us a follow on our Twitch account. We're fairly new here, so it'd be nice to get more of an audience. And you can also check us out on Facebook at Crowd Control. This is Zero to Infinity. I'll get the next match up as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.